The third step in the process is to take our measurements. So we're going to use the angle measure tool. Once we click on that, we'll click on the posterior arch dot of atlas and superimpose over the atlas line and click, and over the listing line and click, and we have our angle measurement, which is 3.2 degrees. So the information that this gives us, we can see that the atlas line is sitting below the listing line by 3.2 degrees. So this automatically tells us that we have an inferior atlas, and we just have to do our calculations. So we're going to click a text box, and when atlas line is below the listing line, we have to add the constant of 4 degrees normal superior to our measured angle. So it's always good to round our measured angle to the nearest whole number. So since we have a 3.2 degrees, since the number after the decimal point is below a 5, we're going to leave this degree measurement at a 3. If it were a 0.5 or above, we would round the 3 up to a 4. So I'm going to start with my measured angle of 3 degrees. And since the atlas line is below the listing line, we have to add the 4 degree normal superior constant, which gives us a total of 7 degrees of atlas inferiority. Okay, and that takes care of atlas. As far as the measurements for George's lines, we can see that the arrow for each segment is pointing to the inferior portion of the posterior vertebral body line, or George's line, and your eyes should be drawn to the larger numbers. So I'm not very concerned with a 0.18 millimeter offset of C2 to C3, but once we look at C3 to C4, we can see the numbers are getting larger. So we have a posteriority of George's line of C3 in relation to C4, and it is posterior by 1.15 millimeters. So I would be more concerned with the severity of that misalignment, as well as this segment is also posterior, according to George's line, in relation to the segment below. This is C5, and it's posterior by 1.21 millimeters. So I would be listing C3 and C5 as being PI according to George's lines.